Yeah, so I'm Morgan. I'm with Hive now. Formerly, I was at Avant Gardner, working for the Mirage in New York City. So that's how I know Joey, which is really exciting to be here and be interviewing you now with Hive. And if you want to just, go ahead and give me a little bit about your background, the companies you work with, kind of what you do there.
Hi, Morgan. It's kind of another life, but yeah, my name is Joey Sutera. I am the head of live at Sears. We're responsible for a lot of projects. Gray Area is one of them. We are strategic partners with a number of festivals. Elements in Pennsylvania is a big one. We're also responsible for Elro North America, marketing and strategic development there. So a lot of fun stuff, but a lot of work. I've been in this industry for nearly 20 years now. Just makes me sound really old, but not that old. I just started young. And yeah, I was involved with Electric Zoo from sort of the beginning and worked my way up all the way to be sort of a director of marketing at that festival when it was still around, and was involved in Made Event and marketing a lot of additional festivals throughout the years, some destination festivals and things like that, as well as artist marketing campaigns. Pre-COVID, there was a lot of big artists that were coming to us, and we were helping really accelerate their tours when they were coming to North America for the first time. So yeah, a lot of experience in an ever-growing field.
Awesome. Yeah, we recently did an interview with one of your colleagues, Natalie, and we dove in a little bit about Elements, and she was saying that you guys have a really, really strong community and, loyalty, fan group. But I'm curious, across Gray Area events and Elements and Elro, what are some effective ways you guys have proven to, turn just, casual fans into loyal repeat attendees?
So that's essentially how I got into this business was, peer to peer, not at that time, I wouldn't call it necessarily community. It was, but really I started as a hard ticket broker. Back then it wasn't a really digital yet. A lot of people were buying tickets in cash, not using credit cards, things like that. So I had to develop a network of individuals that were really reliable in Long Island and New Jersey, in Brooklyn, and different kind of sub areas of Brooklyn and things like this. It's actually way more important these days because there's so much noise, and it's hard for a brand to break through that noise. And that can mean you're spending a lot of money on paid. You have amazing content. Your CRM looks beautiful, it's really talking, and that still won't make people react. What's going to make them react is if a person who's attended the festival or event or has heard about it from a source that's really reliable, like a different friend or a network, tells you, go check this out. I've been there. This is an amazing experience, right? And we've one thing that with Electric Zoo is we had partnership with a company called Pollen, who no longer exists for many various reasons. But we were like the case study, the ultimate case study, because me and MJ, who's the founder of Sears and a lot of these brands, we came from that. We were cut from that cloth. So we came in and explained to them, hey, this is how we're going to help build the ambassador network. That's what it was called at the time. And, really encouraged people to join. And then it was not only sell a ticket to your friend, it was, then recruit that person to sell tickets to their friends and make it really, really valuable. And so when we came and, really joined the Elements family, at the full capacity that we are now, we applied those same findings. And, lo and behold, our, tips or rewards program, we customized it a lot when we came in. It's not something I see done really anywhere. It's possible that it has been, but we added some really cool rewards, like push the fire button stage, the fire stage, sell enough tickets, you earned enough points, you can meet and agree with an artist, you can win your ticket earn your ticket back, and then you can go and push the fire stage button, and that's really, one of the core ways that it helps us sell tickets, and it builds community, right? Because now you have somebody who's encouraging their friend group to come and join, and there's a mutual benefit there. The thing that helps us is, obviously, we want more like-minded individuals in the festival, especially with a festival like Elements, which is it's niche, but it is broadening. It's not commercial in any sense, but it is becoming more open to different communities. With Gray Area, the community is a little bit different, right? Like, they trust the brand to show them artists that they very likely don't know, right? And like are making their New York debut or their Miami debut or their headline debut because they played like a really small slot the last time they were here, like that. So they trust the brand in itself. So to go enough to buy a ticket, actually show up, listen to the music, sometimes come even earlier than normal that they would. And so these are all community, but they're all different in a way. It's hard to strike that balance, and it's hard to maintain community because once you lose a trust, it's really, really hard to gain it back.
I'm curious, how do you guys kind of maintain that trust with customers? Like, do you have some key things that you typically do?
Yes, being honest, and if you fucked up, admit you fucked up, because if you do half measures, they never work. And even if they work, it's going to be temporary, right? The response may be slightly temporary. But one thing that I've learned through all my years, like Electric Zoo, we went through 2 cancellations, one for a storm that lasted like 6 minutes, and we had to evacuate, which was crazy. And then we couldn't let them back in. And then the other one was unfortunate deaths. We had no choice but to, we had to go on, right? We had to come back the next year. And so with that, we were, the third day is cursed. So we had to really be creative with our marketing. And it's not like we couldn't ignore people anymore. We learned, especially after the second cancellation, you can't ignore the haters. You kind of have to troll back when you can. And then what happens is the fans appreciate it because you're more of a human. You're humanizing it rather than just hiding behind an Instagram post, right? So I think one of the most important things is acknowledge when you messed up, and the same thing applies to anywhere. But let's say with Elements, for example, like we acknowledge big time when we have made mistakes, when there was issues with porta potties. I mean, now we do very extensive surveys, really, really in depth. We give them, we incentivize people to fill them out so that they have, like, you got to fill it out to completion and you'll get like a discount or something similar. And then the founders themselves review it with their eyes because they have a lens from a founder, but also they, have been attending Burning Man and so forth for all these years. I analyze them from a different lens, right? Because I, am somebody that's involved, but in a different capacity. And then we have different other people that may not even be in the business that much, but are like the target demo, and they review them. And then we compile it all, and we not only go work to fix it, obviously, sorry, my chair is bugging out, but we let them know in advance. We do a big blog and we explain how we're going to fix it. And sure, I'm not saying it's innovative of any kind that we're doing this, but it is just in a pivotal thing. Like, for example, in one part of the stage, fans love our site, but there was like this gravel that was just there because it's a festival site. And so we like documented it, going there, picking up the rocks. Like, we made a whole thing about how, like, here's what you said, here's how we're doing it, here's literally the pictures and videos, come and experience it. You know what I mean? And that's really important. And then with Gray Area, because I feel like these are all different little case studies or big case studies, but with gray area. Like, hey, if we hear the lines are really long, security was like checking IDs very slow. We know we make like we get those notes the day of on Monday morning. We're fixing it. We're out saying to the venues, hey, we need to get 2 extra guards checking. We need additional staff at the bathrooms. We're going to get additional bathrooms if it's a porta potty situation. Like, we're constantly improving, because if you don't, there's many other places for the fans to go.
I'm curious if you guys have seen different buyer behavior patterns over the last year, post-pandemic, any sort of new strategies you guys have kind of done to kind of, alleviate that and kind of just continue to learn, and anything you guys have done?
Yeah. So, yes, pre-COVID, everything was gravy. And then when COVID hit, it was a catastrophe, obviously. We navigated through that to the best of our ability with live streaming and digital events, and being involved in some safe events once the surge kind of died down, and selling experiences outside of the States where it was allowed, and more open air and things like that. And then when the restrictions were lifted, the floodgates opened. Everybody had money because they were, home saving it, or maybe they didn't have money. They just wanted to go out and enjoy, and everything was selling great and fantastic. I'm sure you might remember, even at the Mirage, it was like that. We had a lot of shows that were just selling right off the cuff. In fact, we were the first. El Row was the first show in the Mirage that got clearance after the vaccine mandate was dropped. And so it was, again, gravy, like the best. And then that bubble burst, as it always does. Fast forward now, we are in one of the worst economic downturns that I've seen in the business. And there's a lot of reasons that you can suspect why. One of the most apparent to me is, if somebody has a certain amount of money that's expendable per month, they are going to choose a show or a big act that they really want to see, who's not around or is not going to happen as often, right? And would go to, I'm making this up, a Duke Dumont at Knockdown Center, right? Because that's one of the shows that we have next week. And that's going to be more on the expensive side. Is going to be a $60 or plus ticket, or if you want to go VIP a little higher. And then you have to factor in, there's the Ubers if you want to go both ways. There's the drinking if you want to drink. And you're talking about, if you're a couple, of extremely expensive night, you're talking, this can run you $400 or $500, which is a plane ticket somewhere. What we are finding is that the smaller shows, they're taking a much bigger hit right now, because those people that we had, like, oh, it's Saturday, I got to do something. It's like, I just have to do something. They're being much more restrained now, and they're not buying it. They're saying, I'd rather wait and pick a experiential event, especially like we just come off Halloween, all the special events. There's like, it's like a festival around here, that, as you know. And so the average Sunday morning, when you wake up and you're like, oh, I want to go to do this day party, they're like, maybe I'll hold off on spending all that money. So one strategy that we've always done that's helped us to a great degree, and a lot of agents used to push back, or management used to push back on, is we go first and fast, right? So like, we confirm a show, a lot of times the agents and the artists, they want to say, well, this is going to be a tour announce, so you guys got to wait. And we're like, because we're in November. I'm like, and this show's in May. We're like, no, New York is a beast, its own beast. It's not Wisconsin, you know what I'm saying? Where the tourists are, like, it's its own machine. And so we need to go before anybody can even think about what they're going to do in May. We pick the right audiences, right? We don't go spending wide. We target the right audiences, very much honed in on that, and we go fast. And that sets us up, definitely not for a guarantee in success in shows, but it sets us up really strongly to have. I mean, if we get 100 sales in the bank for a show that's like 5, 6, 700 capacity, or a show that's nearly 5, 6 months out, we're off to a great start. Even if it's 50, you have to also remember, this goes back to the community. If 50 people have the tickets in November for a show that is in May of next year, they're going to be telling their friends, I already got tickets. You got to get your tickets. I already got tickets. So they become your promoter, right? And so that's something that's really important for us is to go fast. The other thing is, we stick to our pre-sale model. It's something that we've always done. And, gray area, we have a technology that's built. We stick to unique codes, unique access codes. It's always exclusive. And we wanted to keep it that way. We like to stay away from lay low and things like this at all means possible and any means possible, because they're generic codes. Like if you're having fans register for a pre-sale, and then they're going to be able to find that code on Instagram story from some big DJ or EDM blog or something like that, it makes them, why do they need to register anymore, right? So we keep it very, very exclusive and tight knit. And that's another reason that I think, our pre-sales do well and people buy early. But how we handle it on the back end, right? Because that's just the front. Maintenance is its own, like that's a really difficult conversation, because in the maintenance is like the support and, there's a lot of stuff. And, when the sales just slow down, everybody panics, even though it's happening around the world in every market that we speak to everybody. It's happening everywhere. But really, we're seeing 50 or 40% of the sales coming the last 10 days of the show. Sometimes we're seeing drastic numbers on the day of the show. And I think it all comes down to money. I think it comes down to the political climate. Unfortunately, right now it's uncertain. And there's no way to navigate that from our perspective. Really, just got to press on.
I know the gray area too, and across all of these brands, honestly, you guys do some really, really cool, innovative marketing strategies. Like I know with gray area, you guys are very educational. Do you want to maybe dive a little bit into that? Because I think what you guys are doing is really unique.
I mean, MJ is a visionary. And so when you're bringing an artist over that nobody knows at all, but you can do some research. Like we have a dedicated person. Her job is to look into this artist under a microscope and see, but basically why our fans would like this act. And we write about it, and then we interview them, and then we make these, and we cut them into pieces of content that are used in via CRM and ads and sometimes organic social. But it's really critical to do that, because otherwise you're just serving a flyer to a bunch of people who don't know. And those days of that working are completely gone. It's a waste of money, and the costs are rising for these type of ads, and it's not effective. Attention span is non-existent. So you have to really tell the fan what they like, why they like it. Like the community is willing to listen, right? As long as you give them something that's visually appealing and obviously sounds good. So, if an artist has made a collaboration with Mal P, for example, and we know that this fan likes Mal P because they bought tickets to Mal P show with us, we're going to show them ads of things with that collaboration. That opens the door for them to be like, oh, maybe I should go listen to it. And then they go to the website, they find an interview, they find some more details, then they find the event. It's less about, hey, go buy a ticket, go buy a ticket, go buy a ticket, go buy a ticket, because they're not going to do it. You're just going to pay per click. That is just going to continue to rise. And then in the end, you're going to be stuck with no sales. Everybody's going to be freaking out. And if you have a lot of shows, that's going to happen to you quite a lot, and then you're not going to get anything achieved.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is It's a great deal of work. To be honest with you, as an independent promoter, if you fail, which you will 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, you have to dust yourself off and try again. That may mean bringing the R's, doing the New York debut, taking a bath, and then learning and making sure those like few hundreds of people that were there had a great time and remember that they saw it with you first, so they're willing to come back next. And those people tell other people, and that's how you grow, the artist, and maybe and hopefully you make your money back on the next show.
Yeah, I know you guys do a lot of really great like SMS marketing, like you said, the segmenting and the targeting. Are there any Hive tools that you guys find really beneficial that you're using pretty frequently that you really like?
Hive integrations are really good. They make life a lot easier for our paid digital people, because the fact that you can sync buyers directly into Meta in real time is very beneficial, because you want to target those buyers, you want to exclude them in certain campaigns on Meta and other paid social platforms. That's really valuable. The cart abandonments that we with Tixer's ingestion into Hive that were not implemented so long ago, they really have helped us a lot, especially with Elements, because you can customize these emails. You can customize the SMS. It can get a little creepy, right? If you put in your phone number and then you back out of a ticket and then you get sent an SMS, but we make it fun, and the conversions are insane, really, really high numbers, because people hesitate, right? Like, if they don't have the money, they're not going to buy. But if you give them a reason to, they will. We're not offering any discounts or anything like that, but we're just giving gentle, fun reminders, so much so that they're screenshotting it and sending it to their friends. SMS and MMS marketing is vastly superior, as you know, or as anybody in the marketing world knows. It's super effective. It is also very expensive. So you have to make sure you're targeting the right people with the right message, using the right variables, calling their first name, making sure their first name is correct. Got to be really careful with compliancy, obviously, on that. But it is definitely one of our biggest drivers, if not the biggest. We all knew this was coming, right? The ads we're going to stop working so well because there's just so much of it, and everybody's competing for the same dollar. Meta has shrunk audio, cold targeting drastically, or combined it to a point where a lot of the old targeting terms are no longer there. So we prepared for this, and how we did that was own data, just getting the own data. Because once you have it, unless you're harassing them, not literally, but unless you're over communicating, it's your most valuable asset.
Awesome. Well, I just want to end with a fun one. So I'm curious, what has been I can't believe I get to do this moment for you? Like, what has been a really cool event for you that you've experienced where it came to fruition and it was just incredible?
That's a tough one. I will say this is not the same thing, but I'll say real quick is that in 2000, when Electric Zoo happens, right? I was in Central Park at this free event in 2009, and I come outside of this event and I get handed a flyer that says Electric Zoo Festival, Randall's Island. I was super young. And so when I saw this flyer with all these DJs on it, like at the time it was Steve Aoki, Frankie Knuckles, Steve Buggy, Earth One, and I'm like, what is this? And then like just 2 days later, MJ calls me and says, hey, we're doing this festival on Randall's Island. I said, how do I get there? Is it a flight? Like, what is Randall's Island? I had no idea what this was. And I ended up selling hard tickets for it. And then when I walked in there, that was my first festival experience. And I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And it literally became that. I was then involved with Electric Zoo every single year from 2009 until the very last, showdown that happened. I was very proud of all of the work that I did there, and I still am. And I think that's kind of the best one. Maybe that does, in a way, answer your question. But I was, at the end of the festival every year, we would celebrate in the pit, and that would be like the real moments. Like, hey, that it was successful. Nobody was hurt. Everybody had a great time. Just seeing everybody smile. And in one year, I was able to bring my family there, my brothers, and they had a great time. And that was the moment where I felt like, okay, like it was the eclipse, like and yeah.
Are you from New York?
I am very much born and raised in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, but now I live in Stamford, Connecticut. I just moved here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the best when it's like your hometown and you get to be doing this big thing and your family gets to come. I didn't know that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just recently moved out here to Connecticut. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This was really great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Hive for more backstage conversations with the people shaping event marketing. To explore our super awesome marketing platform, book a demo using the link in the description.